easy. Go to HalleyElise.com. Nice, $5 off online? Oh, I've got to call the girls and tell them about the Psychic Gallery on the first Monday of the month. Great time! 7:30 p.m. Perfect. Have to remember HalleyElise.com for the Psychic Gallery.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Halley Elise Show, featuring your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise. She is an author, psychic, and media personality, and has been listed as one of the top 100 psychics in America. Empowerment psychic Halley Elise shares the spiritual, metaphysical, holistic, and magical powers of the universe. Follow Halley on her website at HalleyElise.com, and all her shows can be seen via live stream video. Now, here's your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise.
Good evening, everyone. I'm really happy that you could join us tonight. We have an extended show. Instead of going from 6:30 p.m. till 7, we're going to go till 7:30, which is great because I have two amazing guests. As always, I'm excited and delighted when I get to introduce you to people that I think are just wonderful, that have amazing gifts and talents and making a difference in our world. So our first guest this evening is Michael Schuessler, and I have to check and see if Michael is on the line yet. But I think you are going to be taken aback a little bit by what he does. He is changing the world, and since this is, we'll say driving time, and there might be little ones in the car, I'll say he's changing the world 1 at a time. The name of his book is Holy G-Rail. He is also a phenomenal artist. His work is just brilliant, really. Of an individual, though, who is non-assuming, who is very gifted, who's taken the time to research and understand human sexuality, how we connect together, what the difference is. And I think you'll really enjoy this evening with him on the air. And then our second guest this evening, poor Jade, Lady Christopher and I botched his name so badly a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about him coming to South Florida. And his name is Jade Wa'u Gregory, and I believe I actually said it correctly this time, who is a beautiful shaman. His shamanistic approach is different than some of the other shaman that I have had on the show. He works with the idea that the shaman is that voice to spirit, is that eagle that soars, is that individual that helps you ascend with your own nature to become more spiritual. So as you can see, we have two amazing people that are on this evening. Hope you'll get comfortable and sit down and watch the entire program. Oh, by the way, Happy New Year. I know that the first show of the New Year was actually a repeat from the previous show, and it dawned on me that I had said, oh, it's not New Year's yet, because it was, I think, perhaps the 28th that the last show was prior to the New Year. I was a little off. Anyway, so Happy New Year, since I said it wasn't New Year for the first show. Also, the Psychic Gallery. Thank you so much for all of you who came out. The first Psychic Gallery for the New Year was amazing. Full house, didn't have a seat open, had a beautiful group of people. Everybody walked away very happy and very fulfilled because they were able to ask about those important questions that they wanted to know for the new year, which is terrific. And so remember, the Psychic Gallery is the first Monday of the month, barring any sort of, weird world complications or sometimes a holiday. But other than that, it is the first Monday of the month. So what else can I tell you? Office hours are still the same. Obviously, if you want to schedule an appointment, you can give a call or you can go to the website. I am still working with people around the world via the phone, so that's a plus as well. And I think that's all that I need to cover for the moment. Michael, are you on the line by any chance?
I sure am.
Yay! Hi.
Hey,
How are you?
So very, very much for inviting me.
My pleasure. I'm glad to have you on. I think the last time you were on was when I was doing Push and Pull at Midnight, yes?
Yeah, I believe so.
Either that or the Empower Hour, or we did one and then we did the other. I don't even recall. It was some time ago.
It was.
So, go ahead.
Thanks, and I really appreciate you inviting me back.
My pleasure. Well, your topic is, and it's funny because you say one of your favorite topics. It's one of my favorites also, which people always find a little disconcerting because it's that idea of, but you're supposed to be a spiritual being. How can you possibly have an interest in that area? Or how could you possibly share that you have an interest in that area? And I think in your book, you really help people understand that it's not separate, that's together, without getting into tantra or going into a specific technique of spirituality. You let people know that there's an alignment of mind, body, and spirit. You want to elaborate a little on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, desire is the root of all creation.
Absolutely.
So, regardless if it's physical desire or spiritual or mental, that's what we create with.
Right.
So, different philosophies in different parts of the world, have different perspectives on that, and
Exactly.
it's really not good to kill out any portion of desire, because then it stops your creativity or your creative impulse, that comes from,
Right.
the divine impulse that we all share. And my perspective is a little more physical,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same token, it takes patience and communication
Right.
and self-love, as far as really getting down and loving yourself, not just pleasuring. It's all these different aspects of the self that help you create and help that desire, between you and yourself,
Mm-hmm.
between you and God, and between you and your partner come through.
I think you brought up a good point that it's not just about pleasuring in the sense that just to take the edge off is very different from truly embracing a moment and truly savoring a moment. There's a vast difference there. And again, there's that crossover with spirituality and sexuality in the sense of you could say that you are a spiritual being because let's say you have a spiritual practice. But if you're not really feeling it, if you're not centered, if it's not something that you're honoring, but it's just something you're doing, you're not being it. And especially when you're dealing with in the bedroom, when you're dealing with another person and their feelings and the idea of, as you said, communicating, you can't really fake that. It's either there or it's not. And
You've got to be in the moment,
that's it.
and totally, and you've got to be in the moment with your partner and yourself. You can't get distracted with what's going on around you.
You mean like watching the TV?
Well,
Teasing.
that or the children calling on the
Right,
telephone,
right.
or
Or the
waiting for
neighbor's
a phone
dog.
call.
It's true. But see,
I mean, it in this day and age, our lives are so full of everything else, trying
right,
to raise our families, depending on what particular stage of life you're in, trying to get a life started, with business,
right,
and if you're past the child rearing age, and they've all left the house, and it's got grandchildren and everything else. So
right.
it's so easy to lose touch with this I think it's very, very important. I believe all you ladies are the Holy Grail.
You
And if
mean we're
we
not? You
cherish
mean
you,
anybody thought differently?
uh, you know, uh, yeah, I guess it depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I believe you are, and if we polish you, so to speak, and treat you as such, you're gonna give it back to us, and it's going to make for a wonderful relationship, and that's regardless if it's male female, female female, male male.
Right.
It's a matter of cherishing your partner and respecting your partner,
Absolutely.
and
Okay.
and that flows
Go ahead. I'm
through
sorry.
all your relationships.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So you beat me to the punchline there. I was going to say if you have, if you will, a continuity within your most intimate relationships, then you're going to have a continuity on the outside also, because what we do on the inside mirrors the outside and vice versa.
Yes, Yes, very important, and people lose track of that, or they get too caught up in the moment,
Right.
not with their partner, but excuse me, in the moment of having to deal with the stresses of life.
Right. Exactly.
And the life doesn't have to be a stress, and you know, one thing someone told me a long time ago: if you're worrying about something or stressed out about something,
Mm-hmm.
and it consumes your mind, and which is going to affect your relationships all the way around,
Right.
within the home and outside the home. Give
Michael,
yourself-
we've got to take a quick break. I'm so
Okay.
sorry. We will be right back.
Bob, did you see Halley Elise in the paper?
Who?
The empowerment psychic, Halley Elise. They did a 2-page write-up. The columnist was enthralled. Halley went right to an issue that she was dealing with. I'm looking at HalleyElise.com right now.
What are you thinking? Should we schedule an appointment?
Matter of fact, yes. You have issues with Sue and me, my business. Take a look at her background. It's impressive, and she has decades of experience.
I want to put it on my iPad. What's her info?
Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise. HalleyElise.com. 561-755-2166.
Spell it.
HalleyElise.com.
So it's HalleyElise.com and 561-755-2166, right?
561-755-2166. That's it.
You're listening to Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise, and she invites you to visit her website for more information about all that she does at HalleyElise.com. Now, back to your host, Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise.
Hello and welcome back. If you're just tuning in this evening, I have a lovely guest, Michael Schuessler, and we're talking about changing the world 1 O at a time. By the way, Michael, I believe that the producer will have on the web TV the actual word versus just using the letter O. I realize we have children that are a lot more astute these days and have accessibility to things, but I'm still a little protective of little ones.
Oh yeah. So before that commercial break,
Yes.
I was talking about stresses or worries that are
Exactly.
in your life. There was a person that once told me, you're going to have those worries all the time.
Correct.
So pick an hour a day or 30 minutes a day that you sit and worry. And then after that, you let them go.
I love it.
The next day, you can spend 30 minutes or an hour and worry again.
Right.
But that way, you're not continuing that distraction which holds us all back.
And interferes. And it's funny that you brought that up because I shared that with a client recently, but I didn't tell them 30 minutes. I said like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I said, I did. And she looked at me like I was nuts. She goes, you want me to worry? I said, well, you're coming into my office and we're going to spend a whole hour of your time instead of giving you a psychic reading talking about the stress in your life. Let's fix that. You can address it. But it really works too. And people have to understand anything we give attention to can be transformed. You know, in the bedroom, you can have a transformation. In your business life, you can have a transformation. The stress is in your world. It's a perfect way to address it when you tell people, you know, pick a time. Allow yourself to be as miserable as you want to be. But as soon as that alarm goes off, be finished.
Exactly, because desire creates, and
Exactly.
worry is a different form of desire.
Right. Now, I want to get into the meat of things.
Okay.
You did a lot of research to write your book.
I did. My special lover, which I call her that to keep her anonymity, and I got together after 2 failed relationships, and she was programmed a certain way as far as allowing herself to release.
Right.
And it took me quite some time to
Figure it out.
break that barrier
Okay.
or that pattern.
Right.
Because when you get used to doing something a certain way, it's really hard to break through the barriers and allow someone
True.
else to show you new ways.
True.
And it took me quite some time to do that. And when I finally broke through and was able to allow her the release she needed, it was fantastic. It was just overwhelming. And the way I came about it is why I wrote this book.
Right.
I got in the shower the next morning and performed a little bit of self-love and just looked at things and thought about things and hopped in our bed and tried it again, and it worked again. And it was something that she had never experienced in that fashion.
So,
and that's when the light bulb went off, and I related texture and feel to the anatomy of us men and women.
that's the point that I want to get to here. That gentleman reading your book, it will make sense to. A lot of times, the gents think it's all about the gals, meaning, it's a chick flick, book on sexuality must be written for women, and it's not comprehensive enough or easily digested for the gents. And the truth is, the way that you illustrate it as they're reading, they have a comparisons. They have a space and a place to say, oh, okay, now I get it. This makes sense.
I make it really simple rather than the old, reach so far and try this way. I make it very personal, so you
hands-on.
can try it on yourself and then relate it to the female body.
Exactly.
Just with a 90-degree angle shift and a few things outside and inside.
Yeah, I know you're trying to be cautious, as am I, like I said, because of the hour that we're on here. But
exactly.
Making a shift can make a world of difference.
It does.
So
and
why?
A lot of gentlemen, it's funny, I have it on the back of my car, my vehicle, and people will approach me on it, and a lot of the men will look at me and say, I don't need that. I know where it is.
Right.
And we are talking about the G spot. I think I can say that.
That you can say, yes.
They look at me and they puff their chest up, and I know where it's at. And
it's all that
funny
bravado.
The response I get from their partners, the looks they give them, and the looks they give me, it's like, sure he does.
Like, oops.
Because we can be, us gentlemen can be very proud, and the reality is there's no ego, there's no place for ego in sexuality.
Yeah, exactly. Not if you want equality there. Not if you want your partner to be as pleased as you are. Not if you want to experience things at a higher level. If the ego is there, then you lose that.
Exactly. I mean, if you take the time, and if you take the simple steps that are outlined in the book, and take the time again, have patience,
right,
and talk to your partner while you're doing these things. And in the book, it's pretty outlined on what sensations and what feelings are going to be going on.
Right.
And some of those sensations and feelings scare you ladies because you've never felt those sensations or feelings, and you may be a little bit embarrassed of what you're feeling at the time. It goes both ways. So if you talk to each other about it, communicate, you're experiencing one of the most sacred things a couple can have. And there are no wrongs in that as long as you come from a place of love and a space of respect.
Well, someone brought up to me when I mentioned that you were going to be on the air that polyamorous relationships should not be shared. They should not even be considered as far as being intimate or enjoying at the same level. I thought that was an interesting statement because it just showed that individual specifically was looking for a monogamous relationship, that they want to have that experience with just that one person. And obviously that is what would be construed as the norm, through society. It's that, oh, this is the way it's always been, this is what it is. But if we really examine society and how it's evolved in respect to sensuality and sexuality and preferences and what have you, we find that throughout the centuries, people have been exploring outside of their relationships. So
Exactly.
if we allow ourselves to be honest and say, I want to build something with one partner and I'm going to be totally vulnerable with that partner, I believe that you have more of a chance of really truly experiencing on a deep level. Not to say that you cannot do the same with someone else, but if you find it, it's almost that sense of finding the treasure. If you have found that treasure, do you really want to look elsewhere to see if you might get lucky again? What do you suggest for people who are in, we'll say, relationships that are a little bit more complex when it comes to this?
A little bit more complex, as in polyamorous?
Yes.
Or, well, I mean, all of us experience sexuality in different levels.
Right.
I would say communication is number one and key. And if you're going to allow more than one partner in your life,
right,
you've got to be honest about that, and you've got to be honest about your feelings. And the reality of it is if you communicate with your partner what your fantasies are, or why you feel you need this, she or he may come around and they may surprise you.
Right.
They may be thinking on a similar level than you are, and they may be able, to expand upon their limited field of view if you're feeling limited in that relationship.
Right. But I'd also like to bring up that it could go the other way as well. So if someone allows themselves to be that vulnerable, they have to be prepared that things could be really wonderful and go in the direction they want, or it could go into a different direction. But I don't
and that's
believe
where honesty and respect and communication comes in.
Right. Well, we have a friend in common, Miss Monet, and she teaches folks how to communicate so that they understand each other's needs. You know who I'm talking about, Veronica? Yes. Yeah, and it's always great to have a conversation with her too, because of the fact that she's personally experienced so many different things that she's able to share. Like you did the research, and it sounds funny, when you say, "Oh, you did the research, you were in the bedroom," but really and truly, you don't know till you know. What's the silly saying? You don't know what you know till you don't know it, or till you know it.
Yeah. I mean, I was fortunate enough to find my special lover was very eager to learn and to get over her own insecurities, and the same with me, coming out of the relationships we came out of.
Right.
And I was fortunate to have someone that understood me, and I understood her, and we both had the patience with each other that I was able to do the research, as you say.
I could have said feel your way through it, but I thought research was better.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's perfect. We were able to do that together in different circumstances and validate things, and it works. I mean, although I wouldn't call it polyamorous by any means. I mean, we are.
This was a different, we'll say,
yeah,
decision
it's
that was made.
Exploratory. Let's validate things. I feel this way, and I can experience these things with you. You feel this way, but we have a set of guidelines,
Right.
and as long as we go by these guidelines and we're honest with our emotions and feelings, and I mean brutally honest,
right,
to us, without hurting each other, things work out really wonderfully. It's not, in a sense, the book has been out. It's I mean, that part of the research is over. Although it's funny because relationships will do different people with different relationships will do different things.
Right.
And we find that we both have some of the same desires and passions when it comes to the Holy Grail,
right.
you ladies. And
well, I think it's just expressed differently.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
so we have to go here in just a moment, but before we do, I want to make sure that everybody has your website. So you want to share that information so they can get the Holy Grail?
It's Holy
G-Rail.
Well, the easy way is Holy G Wear, WEAR.com.
Okay.
And if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, I have many different social media sites.
Right.
You can join.
I know you also have a clothing line.
A lot more about me and what I'm doing.
You have the clothing line. You teach programs. You have magnificent art. Today was supposed to be a teaser to let people know that you're around. We will definitely have you back on. And you and I are working on, hopefully, I'm going to share with everybody, getting in to Florida, if at all possible, the end of February. It's not impossible, but we're not sure yet.
It's not impossible. I'm going to do my best.
Okay.
And if it doesn't happen this year, it will for sure next.
Right. We're going to definitely plan it out.
I'm working as hard as I can, so it can be very comprehensive for the people that join me with you in your adventures there.
Sounds good to me. Okay, so it is G-Wear, yes, Holy G-Wear, WEAR.com, so that folks
Correct.
can get in touch with you and they can locate all of your wares, including
exactly.
your wonderful
and
book.
Social media and different areas. Women can ask me questions and I can answer them.
Right.
And
you
with
have
gentlemen out there.
Let me share very quickly. Also, you have a couple of groups, I believe, closed groups on Facebook. So if somebody
Yes.
wants to join, they can contact you and ask about those, and you can give them information about that, where you also have a lot of comprehensive information and quite a bit of fun as well.
Perfect. Thank you so very much.
Oh, my pleasure. It's always
so
great fun
honored
talking with
and
you.
I'm blessed to know you.
Thanks, Michael. My regards to Sherry. Have a beautiful night. We're going to take a break here on the Halley Elise Show, and we'll be back with my lovely shaman friend.
Bob, did you see Halley Elise in the paper?
Who?
The empowerment psychic, Halley Elise. They did a 2-page write-up. The columnist was enthralled. Halley went right to an issue that she was dealing with. I'm looking at HalleyElise.com right now.
What are you thinking? Should we schedule an appointment?
Matter of fact, yes. You have issues with Sue and me, my business. Take a look at her background. It's impressive, and she has decades of experience.
I want to put it on my iPad. What's her info?
Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise. HalleyElise.com. 561-755-2166.
Spell it.
HalleyElise.com.
So it's HalleyElise.com and 561-755-2166, right?
561-755-2166. That's it.
Talk 1470, WWNN Pompano Beach, Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Good evening, everyone. I was just kind of dancing to the music in my seat here. Welcome again to the Halley Elise Show. We have an extended evening, which is really kind of nice because this way I have the opportunity to share with you a lot more of what's going on. We had the lovely Michael Schuessler, who is changing the world 1 O at a time. And the reason I use the word O is because of driving time hour and little ones in the car. But if you take a look at his website, you will see exactly what that means. And I think most of you know what that means anyways. A lot of fun. And next we have somebody who really has the ability to inspire you and help you grow in a spiritual way, help you really get in touch with the divine. We have Shaman Jade Wa'u Grigori on with us this evening, and he's going to be here in South Florida. Lady Christopher and I were on, I guess, a couple weeks, 3 weeks back, and we were talking a bit about his coming in. And I wanted to share the word shaman. I've had Shaman Hawk on and other shamans on the show over time, and there's a different interpretation depending on what region, what part of the country you're from, and for, I think, Jade, it's more a matter of the eagle moving towards the sky, sharing that information with the divine, with you. And you're going to find out more about that right now. Hi, Jade. Are you there?
I am here, Halley Elise. Hello.
Hi. How are you today? I know we've been back and forth with the crazy messaging, trying to get everything together.
Well, it's pretty amazing we have that opportunity these days.
It is. You don't even have to send smoke signals. I tease simply because you're a shaman, but also because Christopher and I tease all the time that we try to use the phone, it doesn't work. We try to use the computer, it doesn't work. So, it's that thought process. Just send it out there to the universe, and inevitably one of us shows up on the other's doorstep. So the smoke signal on a psychic end definitely works. So
well, I do my best to be a 21st century shaman and utilize the means of communication, interaction that are available to us.
right. And whenever it works, it's beautiful. It really is. And we're very blessed because, like you said, we have that. If you really think back years ago, you had to wait to get information. Now it's instantaneous. So it makes life much easier when you want to share.
It is, though, certainly it's much better in person where there can be a direct transmission and a sharing of knowledge rather than just information, which is where, my visits to places such as Boca Raton and Lady Christopher's Narnia coming up is really exquisite because it gives me that chance to interact with people at a one-on-one level
Right.
and respond to their inquiries directly rather than them having to parse it out from whatever might be written.
Well, I think as well, we'll put it this way, having somebody's presence in front of you, it's not just a matter of understanding words or feeling what the words mean, but there's so much more when you're in that person's company. That energy is, as you said, transmitted, but it's more than that. I believe the teaching is ingrained easier when you are literally in front of someone. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. There's a field of emanation that rises, and between the person doing the presenting and the individual or group of people who are present, there's harmonic resonance that is created.
Correct.
And that is greater than the sum of the parts. And so we really have the chance to really go far and to go deep at the same time with the knowledge that is shared.
Now, you're going to be here, if I recall correctly, because I looked at the schedule probably 20 times in the midst of multitasking, but Thursday the 14th, yes?
Yes. I
Okay.
will be live on the 14th, and we'll be doing a free-to-the-public presentation, an exploration of shamanic knowledge and drumming. And really, you might say it's the relevance of shamanism in the 21st century.
Right. I know your portent is the American shaman, which is beautiful because you have that opportunity to share with the American public and have them understand better. Because even though you are connected to old ways, for instance, the teachings of your grandfather, you are not ignoring what's taking place today. So that's beautiful. And I want to share Christopher's phone number. So if somebody has an interest, they definitely can call and get more information. That's 561 367 1185. And I'll give that to you again, 561 888-367-1185. Lady Christopher is a mutual friend of Jade's and mine, so it's nice we can all kind of interrelate. But if you've not been to Narnia, that in and of itself is an experience. You have to visit the wolves and the birds and the koi pond, and you probably haven't seen Christopher in a while. She now has turtles, too, that seem to be taking over the kitchen. They just keep popping up. But you never know what sort of animal is going to show up. But isn't that also a part of shamanism, that deep connection to nature without even trying?
Yes, absolutely. In our perspective, it's not that there is nature out there and we who are walking through it. It's that we are of nature.
Yes.
We are part and parcel of it.
Yes, I agree. So I understand from a little bit of chatting with Christopher, reading on your history, etc. A lot of your, we'll say, thought patterns and how you teach and how you share really come from your family. It's not coming from specifically a shamanic teaching that was in your region, but it has more to do with a familial background. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. My paternal grandparents are Mongolian, emigrated to this country around the turn of the last century, and as is so oftentimes the case, the caretakership of the ways jumps a generation. So I guess my number was up and it was my turn to be the caretaker of the ways. So I underwent my first initiation when I was 5 years of age.
Wow.
And, speak about animals. I mean, talking with animals, interacting directly with animals,
Yes.
with the natural world. And that was part of my growing up, as much as it was speaking with the spirits, those who are departed, loved ones, family members, the spirit of the earth, the spirit of the stars, were very much my constant companions growing up as a child. And those matured later in life. I underwent formal training for 8 years with my adopted grandfather, Juan Peña, who was of the San Juan Pueblo in northern New Mexico. And he apprenticed me so that I could become the caretaker of his lineage, of his ways.
Wow. So you have two lineages.
Two lineages, yes. A heritage, the Mongolian, and the lineage from Grandpa Peña. One thing I do want to emphasize here, something that my Grandpa Peña was always very insistent.
Okay.
The grandson, these ways, these shamanic ways, as we shamans, we belong to no people. We belong to all
people. Yes.
And so, though I have great honor and reverence for the various cultures and peoples who have supported me, transferred to me the caretakership of their ways, it's not about being Native American, nor about being Mongolian. It's about being authentic.
Yes.
And that is what I want to bring to the dynamic, the interplay, because otherwise people get the idea that somehow you have to be Native American or emulate the Native American.
Or transform whatever your normal belief system is, that it's something else. And what you're saying is you're teaching them to be better within themselves by connecting with nature, by connecting with the universe, by connecting with that divine wisdom that is open to all of us.
And that it is innate within all of us.
Yes.
These shamanic ways, we are all earth peoples. Some may have drifted further away from it just based upon the culture that we've grown up in.
Right.
Others might have found their own way to it once again in life. But it's innate within us. And so rather than making it something special and something to be achieved, it is rather more of an awakening. An awakening to the spiritual knowledge and truth that lies within us each.
See, I think that's the perfect way to express it, that it is an awakening, because I share with my clients and my students all the time that when it comes to psychic ability, that everybody has that ability. It is to what degree they acknowledge it, if they choose to develop it, but it's there. That seed is there. And if you want to grow it, it's available to you. And I think it's so important, especially today with the world that we live in, that individuals understand their own power, that they are not run by external forces, that they have the ability to connect with themselves and with their higher power and create greatness in their life.
I think that is the platform from which we begin.
Yes.
And we have to do that, because if we're trying to dance upon somebody else's platform, we're always a half step behind.
Right. Now, you're coming in again Thursday the 14th, and you're doing a complimentary evening for people to get a view at who you are and to enjoy the experience of the drumming and understand a little bit more. But you're going to be here for several days. Would you share a little bit about the different programs while you're here?
Sure. I'm going to be here Friday the 15th. I'll be doing 2 events on that day.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the day, I will be doing private shamanic empowerment activations with people. Those are 45-minute sessions, give or take a few minutes. And it's based upon 2 particular ceremonies. One is the celestial soul activation. And the understanding of that is that people are always reaching for or sending out to their high self a prayer and intention.
Mm-hmm.
In the shamanic ways, it's important to embody the celestial soul, to bring it into physical embodiment rather than it being something ephemeral and out there. So
Wonderful.
The first activation is to activate the celestial soul as an in-body experience.
That's going to be almost, I think, people thinking of it in terms of attunement, being attuned to understanding better or being more aware of what that vibration feels like. And if you do this work with them, then they can have it activated within their life on a consistent basis, yes?
I didn't quite catch that. I'm sorry.
I was asking, if you do a session with someone and they have that attunement where there is that understanding or there is that awareness of that higher vibration, that frequency of their soul, that celestial soul, and they become more cognizant of it, then it is something that they can be connected to on a daily basis from then on, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And the more that we make that connection realized, the easier it is to maintain that connection. And I give instructions and guidance and feedback as to how a person can do that. When a person walks away from a session with me, it's just not, something was done to me. I'm not there to do this to a person or for a person, but to work on their behalf so that they will be able to carry it forth in their own.
Excellent. And that's the idea, to empower them versus just to show them something. So you have the personal sessions, and you're also doing an event, though, that day, yes?
Yes, and the second part of that empowerment activation, however, is a drumming journey.
Beautiful.
And very quickly, that is a journey of setting our heart's desire, of becoming aware of our heart's desire, diving into the underworld or dream realm, and there meeting with the obstacles or impediments that we carry that stand in the way of the manifest expression of our heart's desire, and then moving into the celestial realm that we have connected with right at the beginning.
Right.
And that is the realm of the potentiality of all possibilities. And so engaging those potentials and bringing them into realization back into the underworld soul where the disabilities and disengagements have been residing. And that's kind of like tuning a guitar. So to bring the underworld soul into alignment so that when we bring it home back into the body, it will be made manifest. Our heart's desire is made manifest.
Perfect. How does, Jade, I'm sorry. We have to take a quick break. Like time is flying. We'll be right back.
Wow, this looks really great. Gosh, I've got to stop talking to myself. The Psychic Gallery on the first Monday of every month, 7:30 p.m. here in Boca Raton. De-stress, connect with intuitive abilities, laugh, learn about psychic phenomena, and get psychic messages? Psychic messages? Woo! Where's the price? Here it is. Only $25 at the door? Awesome! How do I sign up? Oh, easy. Go to HalleyElise.com. Nice. $5 off online? I've got to call the girls and tell them about the Psychic Gallery on the first Monday of the month. Great time. 7:30 p.m. Perfect. Have to remember HalleyElise.com for the Psychic Gallery.
You're listening to Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise, and she invites you to visit her website for more information about all that she does at HalleyElise.com. Now, back to your host, Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise.
Good evening. If you're just tuning in, I have the wonderful shaman Jade Wa'u Grigori on with me, and we're talking about him coming to the Boca Raton area and all that he will share. There's a complimentary evening on Thursday the 14th, and that is at Lady Christopher's Narnia, and you can reach her to talk with her about that at 561-367-1185. I'll share that again, 561-367-1185. And that evening is going to be drumming, and understanding a little bit more about shamanism and the journey. Jade, are you still with me there?
I most certainly am.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so we were talking about the different processes as far as connecting with the celestial soul and then going to the underworld, and it made me think about soul retrieval. Does that play into it at all?
Oh, yeah, it definitely does. I generally do those within the context of private sessions, and those will be an hour and a half in duration.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that can really effectively be done in a group context, so I work with people in a one-to-one with that.
So someone
can be done, and I'll be making that available amongst whatever needs to be done on Monday the 18th in 1.5-hour private sessions, again at Narnia at Lady Christopher's.
Okay, excellent. So you're going to be here the 14th through the 19th, is that correct?
14th through the 18th.
Okay, so so the 18th is when you will be completing. Now I know you have also another event that you're doing. So you're doing some private sessions. You're doing the evening the 14th, but wasn't there also another group activity that you were doing?
There are a couple of group activities. One is Friday evening, the Spirit Horse ceremony. That is a very powerful and wonderful journey that has been passed down through the ages. It's a Mongolian ceremony formation. It's a very specific journey, and you'll fly as we shamans fly.
That's awesome. Is that on Friday the 15th or the Saturday the 16th?
Friday the 15th in the evening, 6 to 9 p.m.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking the specifics here is so that if anybody's listening, they're thinking, well, I don't know. They might realize, oh, wait, Friday night I have availability. So that's why I'm asking the specifics before they go and they look it up. So,
and people can also go to my website, shamanic.net.
Yes, I have it on the web TV, but I'm glad that you're saying it on the radio.
Yes, and if they go on the right side, there's a little search box that will search within my site only, and they can put in there Boca Raton and click it, and it will come up with a page that will give
all the information.
All the information.
Right.
Everything.
I notice also on shamanic.net there is the information about your Mongolian background and what the term shaman means. You have it broken down, and I think that's great because a lot of people oftentimes go, well, what is that? So this way it simplifies it for them. And I know that there's other information on the site. It's a beautiful site because I was perusing earlier.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so then on Saturday the 16th, what are you doing? You're going to be a busy boy.
I am busy, yes. Saturday the 16th from 1 to 5 p.m. is Dance of the Animal Powers. Again, these aren't classes, they are ceremonies.
Right.
And it is a ceremony where we will return to the circle of animal brothers around Grandfather Fire. Grandfather Fire being the origin of our spirit, whereas
Beautiful.
Grandfather is the origin of our bodies. So it's a unification of the two, and a dance, and we actually get up and we'll be dancing.
Beautiful.
Entrancement. We will be dancing. We will be singing. with ecstatic abandon and calling these animal forces into our life so that they can find expression through us, and that expression will provide us with a unique qualifying power or capability which will bring value into our own personal lives and service into the lives of our families, our clients, our communities.
Wonderful. Now, I'm just giving you fair warning. Taj Mahalo, the white wolf, he will be joining you. We did ceremony there one evening, and it was the funniest thing. I had completely forgotten about it, and a client of mine reminded me recently because several of us were there on 11/11. And Taj decided that in the middle of the ceremony, he needed something sweet. So he helped himself by going into one of the gal's pocketbooks and finding something and just walking away with it. And nobody knew till afterwards. So he tends to somehow, as big as he is, he tends to just kind of walk in, make himself at home. Half the time you'll see him playing with other people. So it should be interesting. He'll be playing with the spirit realm while you're there doing ceremony.
I have had wonderful actual conversations with many of Lady Christopher's animals. And I mean really, I don't know if people know this or not about Narnia and the animals there. They will actually hold conversations with you in understandable language.
Absolutely.
Yes, wonderful.
Well, I was just talking with Lady Christopher yesterday about Miss Percy. She was in the midst of doing something, and Miss Percy, as we tease, but it's very true, she's the psychic bird. And she came out with something, and everybody looked at her and went, okay. And then 2 minutes later found out that she was right on target once again. So everybody said, thank you, Miss Percy. But it's a great experience. And the reason they bring up the animals is because no matter how intense a ceremony is, there is always that little bit of coyote, that little bit of shenanigans that takes place at Narnia. So it can be expected that there's that additional joy.
I love it.
Yeah. So what would you say to somebody who's sitting on the fence about tapping into their own spirituality or understanding better what it means to have that celestial connection?
I would say that the first thing is that it's normal. It's a natural process of our life. There's nothing to be frightened of, certainly, and it's nothing strange. Shamanism itself, I will say, is the spiritual application of physics. There's nothing mystical, mumbo-jumbo about it. It's physics. It's just being applied in a spiritual direction rather than a technological direction. And so it's comprehensible, it's understandable, it's graspable, and therefore it is applicable by anyone.
Perfect.
So that's what I'd say. It's just be comfortable with it.
Right. And it's interesting that you brought that up about that it's applicable in respect to the physics because my dear friend Shaman Hawk, he and I have had many conversations about this. To make it easy for people to understand, oftentimes you can give a physical scientific reference and it backs it up. And I love the fact that people are more aware nowadays where they can see that it's not just a merging of the science and the spirituality. It is that they are the same thing being expressed in different ways.
Yes, absolutely. Shamanism is applied quantum physics.
Yes. One of my favorite things, too, quantum physics. I love the idea that we can know so much in such a short space of time if we just allow our consciousness to shift.
Yes.
So you'll be here again Thursday the 14th, and you will have events and private sessions all the way through till the 17th, 18th. You leave on the 19th. Okay, so I'm going to give out Lady Christopher's number again, just so that we have all bases covered, and we'll give out your website again for people to contact Christopher directly so that they can find out directions to Narnia and about the events. It's 561-367-1185. And to go to Jade's website, that's shamanic.net. So obviously www.shamanic.net. And shamanic is spelled with an A. So it's not shaman, but with an A. Shaman. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I want to just make sure, because I know sometimes I get calls afterwards and like, oh, I spelt it right. know there was one letter off. So what would you say to someone who is just opening up to their own awareness? They've known for years that there's something that calls on them, but they haven't quite been able to access it. Like it's more of a pang within, and they want to embrace it, but they don't know where to go. Would you suggest that they first come to a ceremony? Would you suggest that they come for a private session? Would you suggest that they do something else? What is your suggestion?
My suggestion is, in that instance that you're bringing forth, drumming.
Okay.
Participate in shamanic drumming, because it is the vehicle par excellence of journeying with full awareness into the different realms of your being, into each of the realms of your soul, and having direct access to spiritual knowledge. And so it's very affirming, very embracing. It's a wonderful experience, the tones of the drum. So it will carry you right through, and there's nothing that you need to do.
I think that's the key right there. If somebody is contemplating understanding who they are better, but there's perhaps discomfort or of the unknown, the drumming is a very easy, if you will, doorway for them, because as you said, there's nothing they have to do.
Right, and I will be drumming on Thursday evening at the presentation that's open for the public, where it's also questions and answers, a place to investigate.
Excellent.
But it's also experiential.
Yes.
For those who are in need, I really want to mention the Spiritual Parasite Extraction Healing Circle on Sunday.
Okay.
That's a very intensive circle. It's for people who have suffered abuse, whether it's been sexual abuse or physical abuse or verbal, mental, emotional abuse. Our shamanic perspective is very unique and different than the psychotherapeutic approach, in that we recognize that there's a spiritual parasite that's transferred from the abuser to the person being abused.
Right.
How when that parasite grabs a hold, it will lead a person into self-destructive behavior.
Okay. You know what, Jade? I'm going to just tell everybody once again, please go to shamanic.net for all the information. Thank you so much for being on the air. I can't believe the time has flown. But I will see you this week. And thanks again. Have a great night. Good night. And thanks everybody for tuning in. We will be back next week with the Halley Elise Show. Good night.
Be enchanted and delighted. Connect each week here on WNN for the Halley Elise Show. Also on Facebook and at HalleyElise.com. Thanks for tuning in. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.